Good afternoon, madam. Welcome to
Good
Nutriful
afternoon.
podcast. Today we joined by Dr. Anjali Huda, one of India's leading voice in functional and integral medicine. She is trained at Columbia University and renowned clinics in US. And now she runs the Center for Obesity Longevity in New Delhi, helping people achieve better health through nutrition, lifestyle, and preventive care. So once again, I welcome Dr. Anjali Huda. Madam, it is pleasure to have you here today. So
Hi.
we, hi, madam. Before we deep dive into gut health, so can you please share little bit about your journey in functional medicine and why you decided to focus on preventive and integrative care?
Hi. Thank you for the introduction, Veer. I will just slightly correct. I am not from Columbia. I am from New York, Wheeler and Cornell Associated University. And I did my MD in medicine in New York. And after that, I went into for fellowship for nutrition and obesity. And after that, I did functional medicine and I did that from Cleveland. It is IFM certified fellowship. And after journey was actually because I was, as an internal medicine doctor, I was not able to treat most people properly. And I used to always think that something is remaining. So that's why I studied nutrition. Then I studied the gut health, and functional medicine basically involves the food is medicine concept where you go to root cause of a disease. So I wanted to go to root cause. That's how the journey into functional medicine started, and it has now kind of rounded off at gut health mostly.
Yeah, I think your journey is inspiring, madam. So it will also inspire others to follow the same. So let me start with the basics, madam. So those who
Yes.
may not know familiar with the gut health, so can you explain in simple terms why the gut health is really matters and why it is so important?
So gut is a very long absorptive chain, right? It is a very long length. It's in kilometers. So when the gut gets a problem, like there is an insult to the gut lining, most of the diseases start there. So when we are eating something, so gut lining will protect us by absorbing those nutrients and throwing out those nutrients. Sometimes when we are taking toxins from food or environment, mostly water and food, the gut lining will help protect the body and not reabsorb those toxins and throw them into the what you call a stool. But the waste products are not entirely formed properly if the products are reabsorbed into the gut. So what why we are talking about gut mainly is because gut lining is the it's like your border security force. So if your enemy is attacking you, that's where the gut lining comes in force, right?
Yeah.
And most of the autoimmune conditions, mental disorders, inflammation, obesity, diabetes, most of the diseases are coming because there is a gut microbiome issue. Now, gut microbiome means there is a there is a plethora of bacteria in our belly, in our guts. So the all these bacteria are either good or bad. So we should be having more good, but with the insult to our body, let's say you were on antibiotics or you were taking painkillers or you were in a lot of stress, the gut bacteria start getting the good bacteria start getting low and the bad bacteria starts coming up, and that opportunistic bacteria will then attack our immune system and will cause various diseases. So that's why addressing the gut becomes a core problem, point of starting any treatment, in my opinion. And that's why most people who come with obesity or any autoimmune diseases or diabetes or any condition, let's say even hypothyroidism with like Hashimoto's thyroiditis, we want to start at the level of the gut.
Sure, madam. I think there is, for as a layman person, we learned a lot. But however, we will break down all the complex problems into simple questions, and I think our listeners will be able to grasp as much information as possible. So, Here is one more thing, madam. Like, what are the signals and symptoms that someone might have the poor gut?
So, poor gut will have obvious gut symptoms, but not always true. So, some people can have gut symptoms and not have gut symptoms. So, frequent infections, frequent illnesses, frequent viral infections, you could be having allergies, you could be having any autoimmune condition, aches and pains in joints, joint inflammation. That is all non gut issues that can manifest from the bad gut, which you don't feel that you have a bad gut. Most people think that they have constipation, bloating, diarrhea, that is a bad gut. But a bad gut does not mean only gut symptoms. Bad gut can also mean when you have all these conditions, like you can have bad brain fog. Like, for example, you are going to break into hives after eating any food allergies are very common. So these are the symptoms that you have to watch for when you're taking any patient, like you're going to talk to any person with a gut issue, because every illness, as I said, starts at the gut. So you have to start thinking broadly, that if somebody is presenting with a complaint, just see how badly the gut is affected. So 80% of the 90% of the times the gut will be affected, and mostly because when we see a lot of patients, psychiatric disorders are very, very common because of the bad gut, because depression, anxiety is all happening due to serotonin disruption, and most of the serotonin receptors are present in the gut. So that's why it's called gut brain axis. And when we say gut feeling, that's what it means, because you have so many serotonin receptors in the gut which modulate your depression and anxiety.
Yes, I think we have to, uh, whatever I listened till now, I think we have to more concentrate on gut as well, which is also a internal organ, very important internal organ in our entire body, madam, actually. I think then actually gut is more of diet actually. So diet is often the first thing people think of, which it comes to gut actually. So what are the dietary tips we should follow to improve our gut? And apart from diet, is it safe to take supplements? If yes, what you usually recommend for your patients, man?
Okay, let me break down this question into two parts.
Yes, ma'am.
One, we will talk about supplements, and other we talk about foods.
Yes.
So when we talk about, let's go to food first, because that is my approach always, food first approach. Then when we talk about food, we don't want to have packet foods, we don't want to have too much sugar, we don't want to have anything that is fried. You don't want to have something that is basically changes its form too many times. Even if it is a well labeled product, anything that comes from a packet can be very dangerous. So what I would suggest is to eat fresh food, homemade food, and know the source of your food, because if you're eating out most of the time, you don't know what they're putting in the food. So eating out is, I'm not against that, but one should be careful, because hidden chemicals and toxins in the food can really harm the gut. So these are the foods to avoid. Good foods to have will be probiotic and prebiotic foods. Probiotic foods are like your dahi, your chach, buttermilk, yogurt, and basically fermented foods, and kimchi, sauerkraut, tempeh. These are all not very Indian, but these are probiotics. And in India, whatever good probiotic will be like a buttermilk and kanji that is made in every household. It is a sort of a kombucha. So kombucha is a good food. And as for the supplements is concerned, we should basically try to get all the probiotic from the food as much as possible. But if there's a person who has really bad gut, then high doses of probiotics, broad spectrum probiotics are used. Unless you have tested the person and you know which probiotic to use, it's better to go with the broad spectrum one.
Noted, madam. So let's then we'll go into the second question, supplements related to supplements.
Yeah, supplements, mostly probiotics is a good supplement. Then there are supplements which are improving the gut integrity, like glutamine. We have like things like zinc, carnosine, curcumin. These are all great for the gut health. And then we have we should decrease inflammation by supplements, but they're not like gut related. But yeah, when decreasing supplementation, increasing a supplement of omega-3, EPA, DHA combinations basically, and those will reduce inflammation. Curcumin will reduce inflammation. And in terms of other supplements, then they become very personalized, what all supplements we want to have. Basic supplement will just be probiotics.
Okay. So, and one more small question, madam, related to the supplements is like if I don't have any gut issues, but still if I take supplements, will it really affects the gut like
It
a
will not affect
preventive?
the gut. Preventive, it's a very good question actually.
Yeah,
But I have never done any wrong with doing prevention. The preventive doses of probiotic is different, and
yeah,
therapeutic treatment doses of probiotic is different. So that is the only difference. Otherwise, if you want to prevent a disease, first thing would be to restrict the foods that I mentioned, which are not good for you. Just eat more natural, high fiber foods. I think that would be the basis of because I generally believe that supplements, like any nutrient, does not come in a bottle. It comes from what you're eating on your plate. So that's what my firm belief is. So I would say food should be the major source of all your supplements.
yes. So natural way of curing is better than taking any medical form of the or pharmaceutical form of the drugs actually. Yeah, man. So another
Veera, I
big
missed that. I missed that.
yeah. So what I mean to say, ma'am, like taking natural food is more helpful
Yeah,
than taking a processed medicine or we call it as supplements actually.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Madam, another big issue nowadays is stress. So, can stress really affect our gut? Because
Yes.
usually, as a layman, we think the stress will hurt heart and brain or some other organ. But as you said, yes. So, how it is going to affect our gut, madam?
So there is a whole pathway how stress can affect the gut. So the when your brain gets into a stressful mood, what you increase is sympathetic activity of your body, which means you're stimulating the vagus nerve. And when you do that, your gut will start secreting some toxins which are not good for the gut, right? So like lipopolysaccharides, etc. So when you do that, in that scenario, the gut lining will take a hit. And that is the reason when you are in stress, that all these secretions of these inflammatory markers increases, and that causes damage. So to be in stress is the worst thing that you can do to your gut. It's completely equivalent to antibiotic use or using painkillers.
Yes, madam. I'm with
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Yes. So actually, not only stress, even I would like to go with the topic like immune system. So we often hear that most common, most problem is our gut health will also affect our immunity, and the
Yes.
immune power is morely stays in our gut actually. So can you help us how we
Yes.
can guard this?
So as I said, that gut lining is your first defense. Sorry, I did not understand the last question.
No. Can you explain the common connection between gut health and
Can you repeat the question,
immunity?
Veera?
Yes. Can you explain the connection between
Immunity.
gut
Okay,
health
yeah.
and immunity? Yeah.
Okay. So I will explain that in a simple terms. Like gut lining is made up of something called secretory IgA. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is like the police of your gut. Like I said, the border security force, right? The first
Understood.
thing that the enemy can enter your country is through the border. So that is your border. So basically, your gut lining, which has a lot of absorption and reabsorption phenomena going on, there is something called secretory IgA. IgA, and that is like the police. So when any enemy will enter or any toxin will enter, the gut lining will not let that thing enter, and it will be thrown out as waste, right? Which is in form of your stool. But when the gut lining gets damaged, like I said, when you're having antibiotics or stress or having toxins or painkillers, so this gut lining gets damaged, and because of that, you start reabsorbing the toxins back into your blood circulation rather than being into a waste form. So that's how the immunity starts. This is what the immune system is made of. So gut lining is your immune system. So when the immune system is affected, it's by this very lining of the gut. So immunity starts in the gut is a true sentence because of the IgA protecting us.
Yes. So we covered diet, lifestyle, and stress, which are common in nowadays actually. So let's go a little bit deep into our diet, madam, actually. So, like for some people, food intolerance are very common today, especially lactose and gluten intolerance. So are they directly linked to the gut issues, health issues?
Um, well, intolerances are happening due to bad gut. So once your gut has had an injury or had received some insult, you start getting intolerant to many foods. So lactose is one, gluten is one, and they harm the gut more. Once the injury has happened, they will harm the gut more because gluten, for example, is a very large molecule, and it will, if your gut lining is already compromised, the gluten molecule will injure and cause more harm to that gut lining rather than protecting it. So whenever we are treating anybody for gut issues, first thing we say is please stop gluten, and we don't mean it like okay, you have to stop for lifetime, although it will be good if you can, but if you can't, but at least for some days till the lining recovers, we don't want more insult or injury. So any food intolerance is a part of a bad gut because gut lining is the one that will reject or accept the food. So if the gut lining is compromised, you are not going to be able to tolerate a lot of foods. So you will end up having food allergies. So a lot of people will have nut allergy or allergy to certain foods, and that then manifests later on as because when you keep eating that food, it will just keep getting worse. So what we need to do is we need to understand that the gut lining renews every 21 days. So whenever you find something you're allergic to, you can avoid it for 21 days and then you can restart it. So ideally, I would say that whenever you have allergy testing, according to me, is not needed because that IgG antibody will anyway clear out in 21 days. What you need to see is that why that allergy happened, going to the root cause of the problem. Now rebuilding your gut lining would be very important. Like as I said, that is where the insult starts happening, is at the border security force of
Yes.
your gut.
Yeah. So when we are talking about intolerance, food intolerance, madam, but extend to this food intolerance, there is bloating and gastric issues are very common in people actually. So
Yeah.
are these things what are the symptoms that triggering this bloating and gastritis in youth, or even not only elderly people, even youth also facing the same problems nowadays? And can you
There are a
please let
couple
us
of
know how we can naturally reduce these two issues, man?
Okay, so one, we have talked about the gut integrity. The second thing is that many times the bloating and everything is happening obviously due to the gut being compromised, but it can happen also due to lack of acid. So as we grow older, we cannot digest proteins.
Yes.
So we start getting insufficiency of certain enzymes. Okay. So when the insufficiency of enzymes is happening, we are not able to digest that food. And if we don't digest, and also we have insufficiency of acid, a lot of people will be on antacid for a very long time, and as we get old we have lack of acid. So when we start getting symptoms of bloating, first thing, remember, you have to give a break to your stomach, because stomach bloating and like having gas and all that is a part of your it's basically a part, it's called SIBO. So what happens is bacterial overgrowth is happening, that's why there is methane gas produced, okay, H2S and methane gas, and you will have smelly air coming out of your system. So what we really need to do is to understand that you have to give rest to your stomach in such scenarios. So to treat it easily at home would be to avoid raw foods, to eat foods which are low in FODMAP value, and that way you can give you rest to your stomach for some time. And fasting works very well with such cases. And so basically you have to do a little bit of symptomatic treatment, along with, of course, use of and specific herbal antibiotics and all that stuff.
Yes. So, what about the frequency of acidity and heartburns? Like how and what usually causes it actually, man?
Heartburn can be caused because of acid reflux happening due to excess H. pylori in your stomach. H. pylori is a bacteria that is transferred through food and water, and it is known to cause gastritis. And there are many other harmful bacteria that can enter your system, but food, this is the main one, and it's better to diagnose it. There is a way to diagnose this. I don't know if I'm talking to medical community, but there is a way to diagnose this, urea breath test. And if you have H. pylori positive, you have to get treated for it. You can treat it with allopathy, or you can treat it with natural bactericidals, which are herbal by nature. What was the other question, Veera?
What like how can we regularly, naturally reduce this heartburns and acidity?
Yeah. So one I said was H. pylori treatment. If you have, most people have, it's very common in India to have H. pylori infection. But if otherwise, if H. pylori is not there and you're not able to test for it, the first thing would be to start chewing your food a lot. Do not lie down right after food. Try to remain up, and because the reflux happens when you are having heavy food and you're lying down. So the lower esophageal sphincter, which is the entry to your stomach, that from the esophagus, so the food pipe, the entry to your stomach, that sphincter, that area gets loose. So that's why there is a reflux. And because reflux happens and there is acid production in the stomach, so reflux will bring about burning. So what you need to do is start having better chewing habits. Chew a food very well, because stomach has no teeth, and the digestion actually begins in your mouth. So one thing how to avoid bloating and indigestion is to start chewing the food well. Don't gulp the food. Don't drink water with you. Still have bloating. Make sure that the foods you're eating are low FODMAP for some time. That. And know what foods don't work for you. Please make your own food diary and make sure you don't have those foods in frequency, and have them seldom.
Yes, ma'am. So I think that answers a lot of audience, our audience actually. So another big condition which I would like to ask, ma'am, is IBS. We hear a lot about it. So what are the common triggers for this IBS, and can the diet and lifestyle change really
Okay.
improves these symptoms? Hello, ma'am. I think are you with me, madam?
I think I missed quite of a bit of your later.
Yeah, madam. I'll repeat the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is my network?
Yes, madam.
Yeah,
Your
please
network
repeat.
is slow, and I think the video got freezed actually.
Yeah.
I hope. I think still
Yeah,
it
please
is.
repeat.
Yeah. Yes, madam. My question is about IBS, madam. Like we hear
Yeah.
a lot of problems about IBS, and like what triggers the IBS, and can the diet and lifestyle change or improve the symptoms, madam?
Yes. IBS is irritable bowel syndrome, and it can manifest as a constipation or diarrhea or alternating constipation and diarrhea in a lot of patients. The basis of what IBS is, as I'm realizing with the, how I'm treating patients with gut issues, is that IBS is a lot to do with bacterial overgrowth, like a bad microbiome. Since I told you that we have millions of bacteria in our gut, so what happens is that these bacteria become either bad or good, and then they become very it's very difficult to get rid of the bad ones. So then with time the gut starts having these issues, and they are called it becomes irritable bowel syndrome. Basically, the patient will eat and immediately want to go to the bathroom, or will have multiple episodes of loose stools during the day. So we want to treat these, and we don't want, I mean, most people get diagnosed with mental disorders with IBS. So
I
it is very, now if you can appreciate it, when I said there is a gut brain connection. So mental disorders are associated with IBS because your gut microbiome is actually compromised. So it is treatable. It is definitely treatable. So all you have to do is make sure that you start with, diagnosing what is the microbiome like, basically looking at the gut microbiome, and there are various tests for it. Look at that and then start treating it in such a way that it becomes the IBS symptoms will reduce once you give your body the right things that it needs. You kill the bad bacteria, you increase the good bacteria, and the IBS will kind of really disappear. I have seen it in many cases. And also because when somebody who is having a lot of stress levels has more IBS, if you notice. So anybody complains of IBS is a very type A personality, or they are in a high profile job. So these kind of cases, we have to make sure that they are also taking care of their stress. So mental stress also has to be addressed in such people. So when you are always in a fight and flight mode, which is a sympathetic activity of your body, we have to calm that down and come into the parasympathetic zone, which means relax. You have to give yourself deep breaths, breath work, meditation. Those kind of things become very important in IBS patients. So it is a little bit of a holistic approach to treat IBS, and it is definitely treatable.
Okay, ma'am. So I think there is a person who is diagnosed with IBS definitely need to consult the doctor. I think it's a lot of, as you rightly mentioned, it will help, it will impact on mental health as well. So definitely, I think someone has to be really consider a physical physician advice actually, I guess, man.
Yes,
And like
yes,
you,
definitely.
yeah. So I think now, so we slightly coming to a point where the gut is also going to impact our brain actually. So I hear a lot of people saying that gut is our second brain. So can
Yes.
you explain, ma'am, why it is and how it linked the gut and the brain, how they are linked each other?
So how they're linked is simple. That gut has a lot of serotonin receptors, right? So serotonin is the hormone that makes you happy, and makes you, motivates you, and makes you do things. So what happens in the gut, the receptors of the serotonin are on, most of them are in the gut. So what happens is that if a patient has a bad gut for whatever reasons we talked about in our previous few sentences, the gut is compromised and these receptors become blunted, they're not acting, the whatever serotonin, so serotonin receptor, there are the drugs for serotonin receptor, right? So you want to increase those receptor activity. So they get blunted, the activity reduces, so serotonin reduces in the body, and the patient becomes anxious, and depression and all sorts of psychiatric disorders can happen. So that is why it is called the second brain. In some instances, my mentors have called it the first brain, but it is called a second brain now, and it is the gut basically that is the reason why most psychiatric disorders need to be re looked at, because if you're not going to treat the gut, then all these issues will keep on persisting, and the patient will remain on antidepressants for a long time and keep on blunting the serotonin receptors even more. So it is imperative that people recognize this gut brain axis, and understand that treatment does not lie in only psychotic meds. It can also holistically be treated as by treating the gut.
Okay. I think, I learned a lot about gut today, ma'am, because usually there is, people think that only gut issues will be like bloating, gastritis, or, loose gut, all these things. But we got to know that it will also impact our mental health majorly. You in one point you mentioned that gut is the first brain. Sometimes your mentors are also suggested that.
Yes,
So it
yes,
will not only affect your stomach, it will majorly impact your mental health actually. I think
yes,
I think people has to really think before they eat, I guess.
very true.
Yeah. So, ma'am, I learned that gut will health mentally. So will it affect weight gain and weight loss also?
Yes, it is totally associated with weight gain and weight loss because one, you're not digesting the food properly, you're having bloating issues, you're not having proper stool, you're not, you have to evacuate every day. So, and the appetite increases if there is bad bacteria in your gut. So, yeah, weight is a direct proportion to the bad gut, weight gain.
Yeah. So weight gain will it impact? Will the people also
Weight
lose
gain.
the weight?
Oh yeah, of course. If you fix the gut, you see what happens is gut increases the bad bacteria increases appetite, right?
Yeah.
And once the if you're fixing that bad bacterial overload and you're introducing good bacteria, so the body will metabolize well, absorb better nutrients, and that way the body will then not be in a you know even if you're eating a lot and if you're eating low nutrient diet and not absorbing, your body still feels hungry. That's why it is not a power willpower games. It is actually very logical that if you fix the gut, the body will not get as hungry because sometimes it's mindlessly hungry and you don't even know why, and then you eat mindless food and then you eat low nutrient food. But actually if you have a good gut, so your choices will become better, food choices become better if you have a better gut.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for that suggestion because gut not only affects the heartburns or bloating and gastritis and it gone to mental health. Now it gone to your obesity as well. So which
Yes,
is I think really we need to think and act on the gut health actually. So
yes.
yeah, madam, let me go into a next question. Like we often hear leaky gut. So can you please let us know about what is leaky gut and how can that condition be managed?
So leaky gut is nothing but, as I said, there's a damage to the lining of the gut. Lining, so gut lining will develop small holes which are microscopic, which are not visible. It's not like big holes. It's very microscopic holes, and those holes let the toxins reabsorb back into the body. So that is simply called leaky gut. You're leaking basically. You're not. It's a closed system, right? The
Yeah.
gut is a closed system, but when the gut lining is harmed, there is a microscopic holes in that lining, and that is what it becomes now a leaky gut. Okay.
Yes. Please go ahead, ma'am.
No, I was understanding the second part of this question.
Uh, so can that condition be managed? And like whether it has to be managed only food or through medicines only.
It is a whole part of, it is an injury to the gut. So, leaky gut is nothing but an injury to the gut lining. So, it can be managed with food. It has to have a holistic approach. Food is there, supplements are there. Sometimes we also use allopathic medications. So, it's basically a full approach, I would say. And also, we have to adjust the mental status of the person because also bad. Stressful life can also cause leaky gut. A lot of marathon runners can have leaky gut, like people who work out a lot can have leaky gut. So everything has to be done holistically.
Yeah. So I learned that there is even leaky gut, brain, and our things, ma'am. Will it impact the gut? Will impact on skin also as well? Because
Yeah,
skin
yeah.
is,
Lot of
yeah,
acne can happen. Lot of acne can happen because again the toxins are reabsorbed back into circulation. So acne is actually a sign of fungal infection in your body. So if you're having a lot of acne, you must address the gut. 100%.
okay. So and for the people with celiac diseases, what practical steps can they take in their diet and lifestyle to stay healthy, man?
For celiac disease, since they don't absorb nutrients, number one is they cannot have gluten, right? So
Yeah.
they cannot have gluten, which means they will lack B complex vitamins. So in people with celiac who have to avoid wheat for the whole of their lives, they will have to come on gluten, basically. Wheat is gluten. They have to avoid that in the complete life of their, like, as long as they live. So they will have nutrient deficiencies because the absorptive, if it's not healed, the gut lining is not healed, they can have deficiency in absorption of nutrients. So they should be having a constant check of nutritional markers and appropriately replaced as and when needed.
Ma'am, before I wrap up this session, so I would like to ask you as three simple steps our listeners can take today to start improving their gut health, madam.
I think number one step is to start eating less junk and avoid processed foods in, like, which comes in packets. Try to eat as natural as possible and as much as homemade if possible. Second step is to start having a lot of fiber in diet, fiber rich diet, vegetables and low glycemic index fruits, and also start having natural probiotics which are coming in form of yogurt and buttermilk and whatever, whatever cultural background you're from. We all have fermented foods in our diets, like, for South Indians we have idli and everything. So we must try to eat more fermented foods if possible, and have a good routine of mental health also. Make sure that you are having some kind of a meditative routine, somewhere you do breath work, some kind of relaxation, because stress is everywhere. We all go through it, and
Yes.
we need to have a way to decrease that stress.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks, ma'am. Uh, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today and breaking down gut health in such a approachable way. I am sure our listeners have gained valuable insights they can apply in their daily lives, madam, actually.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And it's always a pleasure talking to you with good questions, a lot of intellectual, stimulation.
Yes.
And as long as we can help more and more people, I'm very happy to do this.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you.